Yo, what's up, YouTube? Back here for my Raw review tonight. Um, I tried to do my preview earlier, but it just said there was an error while I was publishing it, and apparently YouTube's just been having so many fucking problems with kids uploading or whatever. It's really starting to piss me off. So hopefully this vid works. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, just click the button up above the vid. I appreciate it. But anyway, Raw tonight was coming from the hell was it at tonight? God. Sorry, just hang on a sec. But overall, while I'm looking for this, Raw was actually enjoyable tonight. I thought it was a good Raw. After a disappointing bragging rights. Oh yeah, that's right. We were in Green Bay, Wisconsin tonight. So let's get to it. Raw opens with Nexus. They come out and Cena lagging behind like always. Barrett says he'd like to introduce the most dominant group in WWE history. He talks about last night and how he says it's none of our business what they did to why they did what they did to the Undertaker. He says they had their own we had our own reasons for helping Kane, so probably probably be revealed down the line sometime the next month or so. Um, and more talking goes on. Didn't really catch everything they said, and an email comes in and says since Barrett technically won last night, he's entitled to a rematch for the WWE title against Randy Orton. Um, but it says the match needs a special referee. So tonight it'll be Orton versus any member of Nexus, and Barrett goes down the line, sizes them all up, and ends up picking Cena. Not a surprise. So the main event tonight will be Randy Orton versus John Cena, and the winner gets to choose the special guest referee for their Barrett versus Orton at Survivor Series. Um, so yeah, and then Otunga after that, Otunga gets on the mic, says, that now that that's settled, me and Cena, or he didn't like what Cena did to him last night, and he says something else. He says, I think we need to handle that right now or whatever. And Barrett says, since they can't coexist, we're having a tag team title match right now. So it's John Cena and David Otunga, the new tag team champions, versus Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel, um, fellow Nexus members. So before the match even, anything even happens, Barrett says, we don't fight amongst ourselves in Nexus, so one of you is going to have to do the right thing and lay down. And he tells Otunga to lay down. He argues with him at first, argues a little more, and then he ends up laying down in the middle of the ring. And three gets pinned, 1, 2, 3, and your new WWE Tag Team Champions, Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel, which I said should have been champions last night, but at least these two young guys are more respectable, credible. I want to see them actually have some matches together, like if not every week on Raw, like every other week. See how they do as a tag team because those guys are. Gabriel's really talented. I haven't seen enough of Slater yet. He hasn't really had. I watched some of his matches in NXT, but he hasn't really wrestled a lot on Raw. But I know with Gabriel, he's pretty good in the ring. So, and I feel like Slater has a lot of potential too. But I'm happy they have the belts. So we have new tag team champions, and then Cena just storms out of the ring saying he was upset about it. And Otunga just like backing up in the corner, like I can't believe this just happened or whatever. And anyway, next, we had a rematch from last night: Dolph Ziggler versus Daniel Bryan. It was a good match. Not as long as their one last night. Not as good either, but it was good stuff. A lot of these two back and forth all the time. And CM Punk was at commentary in street clothes with King and Cole. Yeah. Um, and man, Punk is really starting to grow on me. Just his stuff he was saying was hilarious. I can't really recall everything he was saying, but yeah. So Daniel Bryan ended up winning with the label lock, and Vicky put Dolph's hand on the ropes, or his foot. I can't remember which, but the ref didn't see it, but Dolph tapped out anyway. So Daniel Bryan picks up 2 wins over Ziggler in back-to-back nights. I really hope these two down the line have more matches together. Fantastic chemistry together. It's just great stuff. Then backstage segment with Toby Keith, who's a guest star tonight, with the Bellas, Santino, and Sheamus. Basically, Santino comes in dressed up as like a cowboy, and he says he has a song for Toby Keith. It's kind of funny. And then Sheamus walked in and says, "You're a disgrace. It's not a surprise you were the first one eliminated last night on our team or whatever." And he challenges Santino to a match, and Santino accepts, like reluctantly, kind of. So later on, it'll be Santino versus Sheamus, and then it's Wade Barrett, and Cena backstage. And Cena says for weeks he's done whatever Barrett wants him to do, and he can't take it anymore. And he's about to rip off his armband. That gets a huge pop, so it's like, wow, he's quitting. And Barrett says, before you do something you're going to regret, like, think about this or whatever. I have an offer. You can't, like, refuse or something around that area. And he just says, just focus on beating Randy Orton tonight, and you'll find out later. We go to commercial. Back from commercial, Gail Kim and Melina versus Lay Cool. Literally a 2-minute match. Michelle won. She kicked Melina in the head. In 3, it's like Melina's like jobbing now, and she's actually one of the few good diva wrestlers. I don't get it. This Lay Cool shit is just ridiculous. And Cole is just like sucking. Oh my god! I thought he's starting to like just kiss Lay Cool's ass, just really pissing me off. Anyway, that match was horrible. So backstage, they show Miz walking with Alex Riley. We go to commercial. And back from commercial, Miz and A-Rod to the ring. Miz gets on the mic, says he's accomplished more in his career than anyone in this audience tonight has in their ever will in their entire lives. He bitches about losing. He just talks about losing at bragging rights, and brags about being on the cover of SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Which, by the way, comes out tomorrow. I'm going to do a review on that game. I'm picking it up. I already have it ordered. I'm so pumped. This game's going to be fucking awesome. So anyway, he says, bragging rights should have belonged to Raw last night. He says he blamed Raw, SmackDown, even Rey Mysterio for some reason. And then he does his usual because he says, I'm Miz and I'm awesome. And Eve comes out to the ring, which is just like, what? Like, fucking weird. She's looking good tonight, though. I'll give her that. She always looks good. Miz basically just shits on her, like, just trashes her or whatever. So I forget what he said, but then Eve, called Miz a frog-faced loser. Like, I mean, that's what it's come down to. Like, the Divas, they probably would have been able to say, like, you're a son of a bitch or something, or, like, you're, a bastard or whatever, but now we're come to the frog-faced loser, so... then Miz basically shits on the Packers, like, you guys aren't winning the Super Bowl this year, and the crowd booed. It's funny. Eve says Miz is the farthest thing from awesome, and A-Rod gets on the mic and talks some shit, and Eve says someone wants to face you, Miz, and out comes R-Truth. God, I respect R-Truth's in-ring ability. I think he's pretty solid, but I cannot stand him when he comes out singing it. Like, just leave it to your regular music. You don't have to, like, just leave it to your theme. Like, we already hear it. You don't need to sing it live. And Eve just looks so stupid dancing with him. God, look like idiots. But anyway, they come out, and then Truth says he wants peace of the Miz. So we have a match, R-Truth versus the Miz. This is actually a pretty good match. I enjoyed it. God, and Cole is just riding Miz's cock again. Like, every match, it seems he has this man crush on him grows bigger. Miz won in a solid match with the skull crushing finale. Got the 3 count. The main event is hyped. We go to commercial. Back from commercial, Toby Keith to the ring, accompanied by the Bellas. Talks about being in Green Bay. Then he introduces Sheamus and Santino. So their match is on for their match. So Santino walks to the ring really hesitantly, and Toby Keith kind of tells him, like, you got this or whatever. And Santino gets the ring all fired up, and Sheamus just starts beating the hell out of him, knees in the face, goes for the bro kick, but Santino can't even stand. He kind of just falls to the ground, like, kind of collapses. And then John Morrison comes out, why, for no reason at all, I guess. I don't know why. But Santino's in the corner, and Sheamus was going to kick him, and right when Sheamus was about to kick him, Morrison moved Santino out of the way, so Sheamus kind of straddled the top rope. Santino rolled him up, got the 3 count, and then Sheamus was just livid after the match. I don't blame him. I guess this may be starting a feud, John Morrison versus Sheamus, which I'd be interested in. It's something fresh. These two guys are pretty good in the ring. Morrison's just unbelievably athletic, and Sheamus, just getting better and better. I'm fans of both these guys. So if that's starting a feud, I'm down. I'm interested to see how it turns out. Well, so we go to commercial after Santino celebrates. A Magnum commercial. Nexus is backstage. Otunga comes in, talks to Barrett. So he didn't like getting humiliated earlier. He said, he felt like disrespected or whatever, and he said, um, and he said something like you manned up regretting it in the long run or whatever. And Barrett says, I understand your frustration, Otunga, or Otunga, uh, but in the end, actually that was more of an Australian accent than British. Sorry. But in the end, he says, "But you're either Nexus or against us. Like, what's it gonna be?" And while he says this, Husky Harris and Michael McGillicuddy walk in. They both have Nexus shirts on. Well, I was pumped to see that. And he says, even though these two lost last week, I've decided to officially induct them into the Nexus. So I'm happy because now the group has 6 members, including Cena. I mean, it's not really it makes it 7, but Cena's deal. But I'm happy to see those two guys in it. They look great Nexus shirts. Nexus colors. Uh, and then Otunga said he looks back at McGillicuddy and Harris, and he says, "I'm Nexus." And Barrett's like, "Smart choice" or whatever. And uh, Otunga walks off. So then we go to commercial, Magnum commercial, Cena and Orton to the ring for the main event. So John Cena versus Randy Orton. Winner gets to decide who the special guest referee is at Survivor Series for the WWE Championship match between Wade Barrett and Randy Orton. This was a pretty good match, in my opinion, for a main event. And Cena hit an FU, and then I thought that was gonna be it, but Orton kicked out. Like, it was literally a 2 3/4 count. Like, the ref's hand looked like it was an inch away from touching the mat. So Orton kicked out. He hits the RKO. Cena's trying to pull him back up. Gets caught with the RKO, and then Cena rolls out of the ring, and then Orton rolls him back in, and then he lines up for the punt, and Barrett pulls Cena out of the ring and clotheslines him. So it's kind of like deja vu, or like vice versa from last night. So technically, Cena won, or Cena wins because of disqualification. The ref called for the bell, so Orton's basically DQ'd. So Cena wins. Um, and then after the match, Orton goes after Barrett and then Nexus comes down. They start beating up Orton. Then Cena jumps back in the ring and starts beating up Nexus. And Barrett says, "Cena, stop right now! Like, I immediately stop what you're doing." Then he tells Nexus to get out of the ring. And Barrett says, I've already know who I'm going to pick for the special guest referee for my match at Survivor Series, and that's you, Cena. And then he says, uh, Barrett says if he doesn't become WWE champion in Survivor Series, he'll fire Cena on the spot. He says, but if he wins the title, he'll relieve Cena of all his Nexus duties. So he's basically free to leave the group. And Cena, he kind of collapses, like sits down, like thank you, God, or like thank you, like it's like relieving news for him. So he's like kind of pumped about that, I guess. But then he gets up and realizes, like, he looks at Orton. He and Orton stare each other down. Cena's like kind of, he kind of that look like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this to you, like sorry, man, or whatever. And uh, Cena kept looking back at Orton and then Nexus, who are on the outside of the ring. And then Raw ends with Cena and Orton looking at each other like concerned, and then Nexus and Wade Barrett smiling on the outside as Raw goes out there. So overall, I thought this was a good Raw. Nothing too special. Few solid matches. Great. And I think this is the perfect scenario for Cena to turn heel at Survivor Series. Like, just think about it. Say like Orton goes for the RKO, hits it on Barrett, and Cena counts 1, 2, and then stops before he hits 3. And then Orton looks up and Cena like smirks at him, and then hits Orton with an FU, and then Barrett hits Wasteland, and Cena counts 3, and then like hands Barrett the title, raises his hand, and then Cena decides to stay in the group and just go with it and turn a fully fledged heel. That's just my thinking. I think something like that should happen. I'm really pumped to see it and what happens. But yeah, Raw was good tonight, guys, and I'm gonna be back tomorrow. I'm gonna do a review of SmackDown vs. Raw 11. I'm getting up early, go to the mall and get it, so I'm pumped for that. But anyway, guys, subscribe if you haven't, and enjoy the rest of the night. See you tomorrow. Peace.